Today is Mother's Day, 2015. I don't know if any of you paid attention to the date today, but it's 5/10/15. She may be called mother, mom, mommy, mummy, ma, mama, ma dear, ma dear. She is the woman who gave birth to you, or the woman who raised you as her own child. Hopefully, what you call her is filled with love and affection. Not like, oh, my old lady, or that woman, or something along those lines. We express our feelings by what we call someone. I have to laugh because there's someone in our church who has a trunk load of nicknames for people. I won't say who it is, but you know who it is. And I sure hope that those nicknames are filled with love. But the sound of some of them would make you think otherwise. So we call people names, but not just names. Sometimes we refer to them in a particular way, such as saying, "My mother is a jewel." And that's filled with a whole lot of meaning. Or, "My mother is so orderly." Or, "Ma is tough but fair." Or the famous, "Mama don't play that." Growing up, we may feel that our mothers were mean, nosy, and did I say mean? But hopefully you've had the time to look back and see how what she did was out of love for you. I'm sure that every mother would love for their children to think well of them, but the number one thing in their mind is to do the best for their children. Whether their children like it or not, they're going to do what needs to be done. Well, the Bible describes a superwoman in Psalm 31. And ladies, if you ever tried to measure yourself up to the Proverbs 31 woman, you might say, this is impossible. It is a description of a superwoman, and it's not meant to say that every woman needs to look like this, but it shows all the highlights, the heights of what it means to be a woman who is fully committed to the Lord. But in this passage, from verses 10 through 31, there are 4 actions that cause this woman, as a mother, to be called something. And I want to draw your attention to the first part of verse 28. Proverbs 31, verse 28. It says, "Her children rise up and call her blessed." Well, how does that come to be? What makes that happen? I want to suggest to you that in our passage, I'm going to lift out 4 actions that caused her to be called blessed. And that's why I have the question in the title of my sermon is, what will your children call you? Hopefully, your children will call you blessed or something similar. I encourage all mothers to take these same 4 actions found in Proverbs 31 if they want to be called blessed by their children. But there's something in this message for all of us, because these 4 actions, whether you are a mother or not, whether you are a parent or not, in some way can help others think highly of you, and they can still call you blessed. So let's look at these 4 actions together. The first is make sure that your children are clothed. Make sure that your children are clothed. Look at verse 13 in Proverbs 31. It says, she seeks wool and flax and willingly works with her hands. Well, wool and flax are used to make clothes. And it says that she willingly works with her hands. This is a woman, in today's parlance, she would have a sewing machine, and she would go about making clothes for her children. She doesn't have to go to the store. She doesn't have to go to TJ Maxx. She doesn't have to go to Sam's Club. She doesn't have to go to Walmart. She doesn't have to go to Ladybug or whatever bug the store. I don't know, whatever the stores are. Fashion Bug, whatever. I don't know. You should be glad that I don't know what the store is because I don't go there. Whatever the nice clothing stores for women happen to be, this is a woman described here in this text who knows how to make clothes for her children. She knows how to put things together. You know, sometimes we are moved and motivated by what's popular and what the trend is, what the fad is. And sometimes that stuff is not good. It gives the wrong impressions, especially for our young ladies. It gives the wrong impression of what they are. But it's what everybody else is wearing. How many times have you heard your mother respond with, I don't care what everybody else is wearing. I don't care what everybody else is doing. This is what you're going to wear. This is what you're going to do. And then maybe you were so thankful later on that your mom made you stand out from the crowd, that your mom did take care of you, that she was willing to stick to her guns and not let you do what everybody else is doing. And next thing you know, you were the trendsetter. People wanted to look like you because they knew you had a mother that cared. And it seemed to them that their parents didn't care what they did, but they could see that there was something different about your mom. Maybe you had that experience growing up. You were always in a battle with your mom. These are guys and girls alike. You're always in a battle with your mom because it's like she's always raining on your parade, right? She whatever you want, she was on the opposite side. You could just guarantee that she wasn't going to let it go. But it's kind of funny how your friends all flocked to your mom. Yeah, you didn't even care about your mom, but your friends did. They wanted to be around your mom because there was something different about her. What was it? Well, one thing is she wanted to make sure that her children were clothed properly. Look at verse 19. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hand holds the spindle. What does that mean? She's sewing. She is making clothes. Now, not every mother can or will make clothes. But you should have in your mind that she's going to make sure that you get the right kind of clothes. She'll make sure that you are dressed in the proper way. If she can't make it, she has in her mind what it looks like. And when you go to the store and you're over here in the fad stuff, and she's over here in the tried and true stuff, you know what you're coming home with. You can beg and holler and scream about all this stuff here, but you wind up with that over there. This doesn't let the guys off the hook. You know, you want now today. Well, in my day as a parent, it was the $50 and $60 sneakers. Now, I'm so glad I'm not a parent. Well, I am a parent. Let me rephrase that. I'm so glad I don't have to raise up my kids and provide for their clothing today. Because sneakers are $200 and $300 now. It's just ridiculous. And I can imagine a young man saying, "Ma, I've got to have these sneakers." Why do you got to have those sneakers? Because everybody else has them, and I don't want to be the only one that doesn't have them. Well, what's wrong with being different from everybody? I don't want people talking about me. Well, what's wrong with people talking about you? Well, I don't want to stick out. Well, what's your last name? Well, my last name is your last name. Okay. Well, you represent our family. And it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. This is what I can afford for you. Now, if you want to get your own job, you can go buy what you want. And sometimes the mother will have to put a dollar limit. All right, you want $300 sneakers? Here's $50. You find the other $250. Or we can go to the store today and we can get you some sneakers. The choice is yours. Mothers make sure that their children are clothed. But before you get the wrong impression, look at verse 21. She's not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is clothed with scarlet. Scarlet. Scarlet's not cheap. That represents that she provides her family with the best that she can afford to give to her children. It may not be the best in their mind, but it's certainly the best in her mind and in her budget. Do you understand? She wants her children to be dressed well, but it's according to what she has to work with. It's not what the kids necessarily want. She gives the best that she can. She gives what she can afford. She gives what is appropriate. Not to keep up with everybody else. But you know, a mom has a way of making you feel like you're rich when you ain't. You know that? She can put stuff together, you know, that make you look like you're the best ever. So you take the plain $20 dress, and when she gets done with it, it has bows and frills and all this other stuff, and you look like $1,000. Or she can hook up her sons, you know, make them look presentable. Pull them pants up, boy. You ain't walking around sagging like that. Let me give you some nice shoes, you know. Let me give you an outfit that's going to make you look decent. And mothers have a way of doing that because they want to provide for their children. They make sure that their children are clothed. But you understand that clothing is about appearance. While she wants to help them to look their best, she's also teaching them the importance of appearance. It's not just having expensive labels, but it's dressing in a way that presents you in the best light. Are you going to let some person get rich off of you, having you wearing some weird stuff? Or are you going to choose for yourself what is best? One of the best things that a mother can do is to provide that training early in the lives of her children, so that when they are adults, they know how to search for a bargain. They know how to hook things up. They know how to look good. Make sure that your children are clothed. But second, make sure that your children are fed. Verses 14 and 15 of Proverbs 31. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She also rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household. Now, I've had the privilege of being married to the mother of my kids. I mean, that's, of course, right? And I remember many occasions Janet rising up before the sun is up to start cooking for Thanksgiving or some other big hoop-to-do we were having. And I'm saying, why in the world would she get up that early? I'd find a way. I mean, Mr. Microwave is my friend, I'd find a way to cut down on the time to cook. But it was always a labor of love. And you smell the food cooking in the house, and it was a beautiful thing. But she got started early. And I remember my mom doing the same thing. I don't know if that's just a requirement of being a mother that you have to get up early. But, I mean, I watch those Food Network programs, and they talk about prepping the night before and, all that kind of stuff. Aren't there some shortcuts? But it would be without love. It would be without love. And what is described here is a woman who rises while it's yet night and provides food for her household. She gives the best that she can afford. And that's why it says that she is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. Now, you're not going to bring garbage from afar. You're going to bring the best from afar. I mean, if you want garbage, you can just get that locally, right? Why are you going to import garbage when you can get it locally? You're going to import the good stuff. Come on, are you with me? You understand what I'm saying? So this description here is telling me that she's reaching out for the best for her children. Now, she knows a bargain. And she knows how to use her money to bring in the best. We're not told all that goes behind it, but we know that if she's bringing in the best, she's figured out a way to do it. She gives her children the best that they can eat. She makes sure that they eat well. And again, I just had the privilege of watching Janet with our children growing up and how she was able to work miracles with what we had. Before I got married, I didn't know what a casserole was. But it was interesting how she would take stuff that we had for dinner the day before, and then the next day it would wind up in a casserole. The leftovers, and she would hook it up, and it tasted good. It wasn't the same that we had the day before, but she was able to take this casserole and add potatoes and some cheese and, whatever, and you see those, didn't we have string beans yesterday? It sure enough looked like string beans in this casserole. But she would hook it up, and it was miraculous. And when you have 6 kids, when you have 6 kids, and you don't have much money, you're a poor preacher, you do the best that you can. And she's always saying, okay, how much do I have for food allowance? I said, X amount of dollars. That's all you get. You got to make that work. And she'd make it work. I mean, she put a hurting on it. And she was able to be creative. I'm serious. She was she is very creative when it comes to food. I mean, you talk to the kids, they'll tell you. But she always made sure that there was enough. Now, sometimes it was something you didn't want, but there was enough of it. Sometimes the kids would sit there for half an hour. They couldn't leave the table until they ate the food. I don't like oatmeal. Well, that's what you're going to have for breakfast today. I don't want this. Oh, I don't want grits. And you know how grits turn shiny on the bottom? You don't wait it too long. I don't want to eat this stuff. And there was so much of what I don't want to eat, the kids began to become kind of creative too. They learned how to spread food around the plate, around the edges, put stuff underneath the bread. Am I telling y'all secrets? Or would she, I got to go to the bathroom with a mouthful of food. All kinds of creative ways. But the bottom line is, we didn't go hungry because she provided food. She fed her kids. She fed her husband. Make sure that your children are fed. This text also tells me that she took care of providing for the meals. She didn't tell her kids, fend for yourself. You know, today, more and more, that's the norm. Some mothers just tell their children, oh, fend for yourself. We have 30 boxes of cereal. And when you run out of milk, you can eat it dry. You can have cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I got things to do. I got people to see, places to be. You take care of yourself. No, this mother, she made sure that there were meals provided for her kids. Now, that doesn't mean that she didn't teach them how to cook for themselves. Eventually, that's important. Because they're not going to always be with mama. And woe is you if you don't know how to cook for yourself. And so there's this providing for her children by making sure that they're fed, and also, when it's appropriate, to teach them how to feed themselves. She took care of their physical strength so that they could meet their day. It's so important to have food so that you're able to function. Teachers know it. They can tell a student that comes in who hasn't eaten and is lethargic and just can't function, as opposed to one who's eaten and is ready to go, is pumped up for the day. Mothers, make sure that your children are fed. Third, make sure that your children are protected. Make sure that your children are protected. Verse 27. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. And I'm sure there's a whole lot of children that can testify that their mother didn't eat the bread of idleness. She was nosy. She watches over them. She makes sure that all is well in their lives. A mother wants to protect her children. So she watches over them. She knows when things are out of sorts. When you come home and she said, you didn't leave home looking like that. What's up with you? Or you have a coat on and she knows something's up. Take your coat off, and she sees that your clothes are ripped. You were in a fight. All right? She's aware enough to know what's happening. She watches over them. She watches out for them. She looks for the dangers and the threats that might be coming their way, and she tries to eliminate as many of them as possible. Don't go there. Don't hang with this person. Don't do those kinds of things. She's watching out for you, but she also watches them. She checks up on them. She knows what her children are up to. I remember being kind of afraid as my mother worked along with my father, and she said, and I was a latchkey kid, she said, I may not be at home, but their eyes on you. The neighbors. Somebody's always looking. And she said, I'll get the report. I'll know if you do anything. Because she had eyes through other people's eyes. She checked up on me. Now, they didn't have cell phones and all that other stuff. All she had to do was talk to a neighbor. Is there a whole lot of noise coming out of the house today? Did you see Tyrone going in and out? Did he bring his friends over? What's up? And back in those days, sometimes your neighbor would spank you. And then you get another one when your parents got home. This is a woman who is active, not lazy. She assumes responsibility for her children. She doesn't put that responsibility on someone else. Now, there may be others that will be involved, and that's how life is. But she takes primary responsibility for raising her own children. She protects them. Because nobody can protect you like mama anyway. You know that? She makes sure that her children are protected. Finally, verses 29 and 30, make sure of your relationship with the Lord. Make sure your relationship with the Lord. Verses 29 and 30. Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. The text says that outward appearance isn't really all that important. It goes away. But you have some today, it's sad, but some mothers are into getting their hair done, getting their nails done, making sure that they have the best clothes, and they don't spend any money on their kids. Or they want somebody else to take care of their kids. It's a sad commentary when somebody, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. And some of these mothers are on welfare. They just got their nails done. And there's not enough food in the house. And they're expecting somebody to take care of their kids. And so they start going around calling up churches. Can you feed us? We need some food. And you go and you look at their nails. And their hair is all styled. And you begin to think about where their priorities are. What are we teaching people today? Are we teaching anything? So, young ladies, please understand, we know that you want to look good. But if you're a mother, think about your children. Is it really important for you to have your nails done and then have to scrape and scrunch and beg to have food in the house when that's your primary responsibility when you have children? You're supposed to feed your children. If you're receiving food stamps or whatever, you don't turn around and sell them. You're supposed to be using that to help your children. And hopefully you can get to a place where you won't need public assistance. But while you do, make sure that you are taking care of business for your children. This woman has a fear of the Lord, and doesn't mean that she's in a corner shaking, thinking every time she hears thunder that the Lord's about to hit her upside the head. No, it means that she has a wonderful respect for who God is and what God does. She's in a right relationship with him. And she seeks to honor and to glorify him. And God is seen in her life. That's why it says, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Why? Because people will see God in her life, especially her children. They'll see it in her actions, her acts of service, not only for her family, but for others. Fellowship, wanting to be in church with other believers so that she can be blessed and so that she can be a blessing to others. And by prayer. You know, there's a difference between sending your children to church and taking your children to church. There's a difference between teaching them simple prayers and letting them see you pray on your knees at home for things. Attitudes. Godliness, gentle spirit, being loving, being forgiving, having grace and mercy, but also loving discipline. Those are attitudes that need to be seen. And if those things are seen, it demonstrates that you have a proper fear of the Lord. And it will cause your children to rise up and call you blessed. Why? Because you've modeled Christ before them, because you have watched out for them, you protected them, you have fed them, you have clothed them, you have done all that you are required to do as a mother and more. So if you don't remember anything else, please remember you have to be a blessing to be called blessed. Mothers, you have to be a blessing to be called blessed. Young ladies, whether you're a mother, a mother figure or not, you have to be a blessing to others if you want others to think of you as blessed. Men, young men, you have to be a blessing to others if you want them to call you blessed. It's never too late to be this kind of a mother. The most important action to take is to live out a true faith in Jesus before your children. No matter how young or old they are, let your relationship with the Lord show forth. He will guide you into being the mother you need to be for your children right now. Mothers and children, that includes all of us now. Right? Either you're a mother or you're a child, right? If you have never received Jesus as your Savior, I urge you to do so today. Admit that you are a sinner in need of a Savior. Believe that Jesus Christ died for your sins. Receive him as your Savior, and you'll be part of the family of God. Mothers, the mothers that are here today, what will your children call you? Around the mother's dinner table today, this afternoon, that might be an interesting question to ask your children. So, what one word would you come up with to describe me? What would you call me besides mother? What would you call me? And see what they come up with. Maybe you don't want to hear it, but it might be an interesting thing to do. Let's pray.